Uh, yes sir. You now rocking with the J Thoughts. Baby girl, sit back, relax, and take a day off. Come and get this medicine because it pays off. Don't worry, I'll put the work in if you get laid off. Things tend to taste better with some J sauce. I've been out balling, now it's time to take my J's off. Huh? It's your boy J Thoughts here once again. And as always, hit those favorite buttons of mine. That's that like, that share, that subscribe. It helps the channel grow tremendously. We can get one more subscriber to hit that subscribe button, one more person to hit that like button. Today we're talking about humility. My question is, has the humility left women? Is there any humility? Because human nature, most people are humble because they're forced to be. If you look at any aspect with humility, where humility is displayed on its highest level, it's usually by those who are in position of less than. The humility is forced upon you. Let's look at all avenues. Let's look at physical combat. There's a move in fighting where you make somebody submit. They call it tap out. You're forcing them to be humble in defeat. There's an immediate repercussion to your lack of humility. Chances are you're going to sleep. Everywhere we see where humility is really displayed, it's about a power dynamic essentially. And the question is, has the humility left from women? Is there any humility left? What I see nowadays is most women are walking around as if though they can never be humbled. They're impervious. Men, we grow up with humility instilled upon us because we understand as men, from the time we're little boys, there is a physical repercussion to us not being humble. You talk to your dad out of pocket, there's some knuckles coming back your direction. We don't get the chance not to be humble because humility will be forced upon us. We will be forced to submit. There's a lot of women who grew up without ever being humbled. So what I want for you guys today is to be able to be humble in the sense that I would hate for something catastrophic to have to happen to one of you in order to understand what true humility is. And I've been through some humbling experiences early on in my life. I lost my mother at 14 years old. 2 months prior to that, tore my knee, never played football again. The fact that I thought I was going to become a professional athlete as a child, I had to humble myself and say, hey, your body can get taken away from you at any moment. The fact that you take your mother as your cheerleader for granted, well, God can decide to take that away from you too. And you have to be humble. God took my knees away. God took my mother away. God took my family away, our home away. Right? All of this happened in a span of 1 year. So I've been through some humbling things in my life that have forced me to understand even the strongest of us can fall. The success that a lot of women would like to have with men today, and they're not seeing these outcomes, is large in part due to the lack of humility that they have in dealing with men. Because as men, I can't force myself upon a woman, right? Like that's wrong to do. So I have to be humble in order to figure out the best way to have success with women throughout my life. Now, if I thought I knew everything and the reality of my outcomes is showing me different, then I have to humble myself to be receptive to new information. Most men are looking to provide that leadership and direction to their woman. But a lot of women don't come with humility. Humility is what's going to get you. If a man could have 10 of you, why would he pick you over the other 9? Chances are you have more humility than those other 9 girls. If those other 9 girls look exactly like you from a physical standpoint, are just as attractive as you, why would he pick you over the other 9? Now, if you can humble yourself enough to understand that question and really understand the depth of the type of man that you want and what he would want from his woman, I can guarantee you, at least on the top 5 of that list, he's got humility there for his woman. He would want you to be humble, because humility allows you to reevaluate. Humility allows you to improve. Let's take another example. Let's say you're not quite as good looking as the other 9, but you're far more humble, far more agreeable, far more realistic, far more cooperative. You give yourself a fighting chance over those other 9. Yes, you want to keep as pretty as you can possibly be. You always want to make sure you look your best, but the humility is in the mindset. When you display humility, that alters your behavior. Your mindset dictates your behavior. And based on the behavior of a lot of women, you can tell their mindset has no humility. Men, we're constantly being humbled. We shoot our shot, bow, rejected, bow. Big bruise to the ego. Who has more ego? Somebody who's willing to get rejected, or somebody who has so much ego they wouldn't even shoot their shot? Because it'd be like, how dare you reject me? That's not humble. The best of us men have all been humbled in one way or another. Combat is the easiest one to see when you can get humbled. You think you're the shit. I've been on the ground with a guy who could kill me if he wanted to, and all I had to do is double tap his shoulder for him to not kill me. That's humbled. I ain't no little dude. I've had dudes smaller than me literally with their hands around my neck. Like, what are you gonna do about it? You gotta be humble enough to be like, hey, can you show me how you did that? Humility. Men know humility. See, a lot of women, they see the arrogant men today, and they don't realize the work that man even had to put in to become arrogant. Because confidence, in my opinion, comes from outcomes. You can be as confident as you want. You can be as much of a ladies' man as you believe yourself to be. But if the results of your life have shown you have 0 bitches, you gonna start getting humbled one way or another. What I would hope not to happen is for women to have to get to a point where it's so far down the line for them, it's too late. Now they want to become humble, but it's too late to get the outcomes they wanted. Because when they were in their peak, in their prime, they were above reproach. You couldn't tell them shit. No humility whatsoever. Hell, if we want to take it to queen and king, right? Now, we know that in some histories, there are some kings that have ruled dictatorial style, like tyrant style. You know what I mean? But I'd like to believe the king is humble. Just because you rule over the subjects doesn't mean you're not humble. Because let's face it, if I take charge over a few group of people, right? And every one of my subjects believes that I'm not humble, believes that I'm taking this for granted. My ego is getting they could overtake me. Humility helps you stay grounded and realistic with what's going on around you. And a lot of women act as if though what's going on around them isn't going on around them. They act as if though the outcomes haven't shown them, hey ma'am, perhaps you might want to reevaluate your perspective on these things. Perhaps you need to be a little bit more humble, and then maybe that's going to turn around your results for the better. Maybe you're going to attract a different type of caliber of man because you've displayed a different level of humility. You can run that arrogant shit with motherfuckers who don't qualify. Right? You talk to a woman about the past men she's dealt with, and in her eyes, the way it sounds as if though is she was better than all of them. She did nothing wrong. Ask a woman about her ex, the first thing coming out of her mouth, it's not going to be any accountability on her end. There's going to be no humility for the most part. If you talk to a woman about her past, and the first sentence out of her mouth is her taking accountability for what she did wrong, do you know how many more men would want to listen to you talk? Women have made it so complicated. They don't even realize how easy it is to win over the man that you want. Yes, we're all different, but most of us, we're more alike than we are different. Most men generally want the same thing. They want her to be cute. They want her to be nice to him. And cooperative, just humble. The best of us will take y'all under our wing and make something happen, make something beautiful. But there's no humility through the process. So when we're vetting these women and we're trying to get to know them a little bit better, ladies, I'm telling you, the men of a certain caliber, they're looking for some humility. They're looking for some accountability. They're looking for somebody who's rational and grounded in reality. We understand your nature is different than ours. We're not asking you to be as rational and logical as a man. We're just asking you to meet us halfway. At least be humble enough to admit that you're not rational. Right? We all know you crazy. We know y'all all crazy. We just want you to be humble enough to say it. Yeah, we crazy. But does your crazy match mine? But if you're so busy walking around here like your shit don't stink, then we'll never actually have that heart-to-heart conversation because there's no humility.